Have you ever wondered why women seem to notice things men miss? Why her reactions sometimes feel unpredictable, yet strangely accurate? The truth is, the female brain works in ways that are far more complex and far more powerful than most people realize. Today, we're going deep inside the mind of a woman to uncover how she really thinks, reasons, and makes decisions. When we talk about the female brain, one of the most powerful elements that stands out is emotional intelligence. And unfortunately, in today's society, people misunderstand what that truly means. They think emotional intelligence is simply about being sensitive or crying easily. But that's not it. Emotional intelligence in women is the ability to read emotions, regulate them, and connect them with logic in a way that creates balance. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the art of noticing the unspoken, the ability to sense the energy in a room, and the skill of processing not just words, but feelings behind those words. A woman can walk into a space and immediately pick up on tension or harmony without anyone telling her. This is because her brain processes emotional data much faster and stores it in deeper detail than most men ever realize. This power comes from how the female brain is wired. The parts of the brain responsible for emotions, empathy, and communication, like the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, are more interconnected in women. That means her thoughts are rarely separated from her emotions. When she reasons with her heart and her mind working together. That's why when a woman gives advice, it often comes from a place of human connection rather than just cold logic. And many people don't understand this. Some even criticize it because they assume emotions cloud judgment. In reality, emotions inform judgment. They give context, depth, and perspective that pure logic can never provide. Without emotional intelligence, decisions become mechanical and disconnected from human reality. A woman's brain naturally resists that emptiness because she doesn't just want to solve problems, she wants to understand them. Emotional intelligence also explains why women are often natural leaders in relationships and social settings. While men may focus on the task or the goal, women tend to sense the undercurrents, who feels left out, who is silently struggling, who is hiding behind a smile. This isn't just intuition, it's the brain working on a different wavelength. A woman processes micro expressions, subtle voice changes, and emotional shifts that others might completely overlook. This ability makes her a master at reading situations, but it can also become a burden. Because when you feel everything so deeply and notice details others ignore, you carry a heavier emotional weight. This is why women often feel overwhelmed, not because they are weaker, but because they are absorbing the emotional realities of everyone around them while still trying to manage their own. Another side of emotional intelligence in women is how they regulate emotions. Contrary to the stereotype that women are overly emotional, the truth is that women are often better at naming, identifying, and processing their feelings than men are. Studies have shown that women use both hemispheres of the brain when dealing with emotions, which means they analyze their feelings, put them into words, and connect them to memories and context. This makes them better communicators of emotions, and it's also why women's conversations often feel deeper, more layered, and more personal. They are not just talking about what happened, they are talking about what it meant, how it felt, and why it mattered. This is emotional intelligence in action, not just reacting, but understanding. Think about how this plays out in conflict. If a man and a woman argue, the man may focus on the facts, while the woman focuses on the feelings. And here's the twist. It's the feelings that determine whether the problem actually gets resolved or not. You can't fix a relationship by throwing logic at it. You fix it by addressing the emotional wound. And this is where women excel. They don't just argue to win, they argue to heal, to connect, to make sense of the pain and find closure. Emotional intelligence allows them to see beyond the surface of the conflict and reach the heart of it. Even in decision making, women rely on emotional intelligence as a guide. When facing choices, they ask themselves not only what's the most practical option, but also how will this affect the people involved? How will it feel in the long run? What unseen consequences might it create? This depth of consideration is what makes their reasoning unique. It's not about being impulsive or overthinking, it's about recognizing that every choice has an emotional outcome, not just a logical one. By blending heart and mind, women often arrive at solutions that are not only effective, but also sustainable in the long term. But multitasking in women goes beyond tasks. It is also emotional multitasking. She is often feeling different emotions at the same time, and she learns how to manage them without letting one cancel out the other. She can feel anger and compassion simultaneously. She can feel stressed, but still remain nurturing. She can feel disappointed, yet continue to push forward with determination. This complexity is why many underestimate her. They look at her and assume she is confused or overthinking, when in reality, she is simply operating on multiple levels of thought that require more energy, more awareness, and more strength than single track thinking ever could. The female brain does not move in straight lines. It moves in circles, in layers, in connections that never stop branching. What's even more powerful is how women have historically been forced into multitasking roles, which only sharpened this natural ability. For centuries, women have been caretakers, homemakers, educators, and emotional anchors, all while managing their own inner struggles. Modern life has only added more layers: careers, studies, ambitions, personal growth, and financial independence. The female brain has adapted, learning to juggle these endless demands without losing sight of what matters most. This doesn't mean it is easy. Often it comes at the cost of exhaustion, burnout, or the invisible labor no one acknowledges. But it shows just how resilient and adaptive the female mind truly is. Multitasking also changes how women approach problem solving. While one part of the brain is working on immediate solutions, another part is already thinking about long-term outcomes. She can respond to a crisis while still planning for tomorrow. This dual awareness is what makes her leadership style unique. Where others may rush to solve one issue without considering the ripple effects, she is already calculating the emotional, relational, and practical consequences. That's why she can handle situations that overwhelm others. She's not doing more just for the sake of it. She's doing more because her brain is constantly integrating all the pieces of the puzzle into one whole. Another element of multitasking in the female brain is memory. Women are often better at recalling details of conversations, expressions, or past events because while something was happening, they weren't just experiencing it, they were analyzing it, feeling it, and storing it in multiple ways at once. This layered processing creates stronger memories and sharper awareness, which allows them to return to situations later with insights that others may not even realize exist. It is this ability to connect past, present, and future in real time that makes multitasking more than just a practical skill. It is a mental framework that shapes how women live, think, and reason. Intuition also plays a crucial role in decision making. While men are more likely to rely solely on logic and data, women integrate logic with emotional and subconscious signals. This doesn't mean women ignore facts. It means they weigh facts against the invisible energies surrounding them. For example, a woman may have every logical reason to trust someone on paper, yet something in her gut refuses to agree. That gut feeling is not irrational fear. It's her brain warning her that details don't align, that the behavior patterns suggest something different than the words spoken. Many women who ignore this intuition later realize they had been right all along. And the reason is clear. Intuition is not about superstition. It is about awareness at a level beyond conscious reasoning. But intuition is not only about warnings or detecting negativity, it is also about connection and creativity. A mother who senses her child is unwell before any symptoms show is guided by the same intuitive awareness. A woman who walks into a room and instantly feels the energy, who can tell which friendships are genuine and which are superficial, is relying on her brain's intuitive map. Even in creativity, intuition leads women to solutions that logic cannot always reach. Because the brain processes information in webs rather than straight lines, intuition allows her to jump from one point to another without needing a visible bridge in between. This is why many women find solutions by saying, I don't know why, but I just know this will work. The reasoning exists, but it lies beneath conscious awareness, shaped by patterns, emotions, and experiences she has been collecting all along. Society often dismisses this gift by labeling women as too emotional or irrational, when in fact, their intuition is one of the most refined forms of intelligence. It is a combination of heightened observation, emotional depth, and subconscious analysis. The danger comes when women are taught to ignore it. Many times, women sense something is wrong, but they suppress it because they are told they are overthinking or imagining things. Over time, this silences their inner compass and forces them to doubt themselves. But the truth is, intuition is one of the greatest tools the female brain possesses. And when a woman learns to trust it, she moves with a kind of certainty that cannot be shaken by outside voices. If there is one trait that defines the female brain more than anything else, it is her capacity for empathy and connection. This is not a surface level sensitivity or a habit of being too nice. It is something far deeper, something wired into the way her brain functions. When a woman listens, she does not only hear the words. You can feel that she is absorbing your emotions, mirroring your feelings, and placing herself in your shoes as if your experience is her own. Neuroscience has shown that women's brains have stronger mirror neuron systems, which are directly tied to empathy. This means she can literally feel what someone else feels in a way that is visceral, not theoretical. That's why when a child cries, a mother often feels it in her body, and why when someone close to her is in pain, she cannot rest until that pain is addressed. Connection is not something she switches on and off. It is her default state of being. This ability changes how she reasons, how she thinks, and how she decides. When a man makes a decision, he may prioritize efficiency, strategy, or outcome. A woman, on the other hand, cannot detach the human element from the process. She asks herself, how will this affect others? What will it make them feel? Will this choice build harmony or destroy it? Her empathy guides her reasoning in a way that often makes her conclusions more sustainable and more humane. People may call this emotional reasoning, as if it is something lesser, but in truth, it is a more evolved form of intelligence. Cold logic can achieve results, but empathy achieves results without breaking the human bond. It is not weakness to care. It is strength to make choices that value people as much as outcomes. Empathy also gives women a unique form of social awareness. She is rarely blind to the dynamics around her. When she enters a room, she can sense who feels left out, who is uncomfortable, who is pretending to be strong, and who is silently in pain. She notices the little things others miss, the silence in someone's laughter, the heaviness in someone's eyes, the hesitation in someone's words. She connects those signals into an understanding of the person that is far beyond what they openly reveal. This is why women are often the emotional glue in families, friendships, and communities. They don't just play a role, they become the anchor that holds relationships together because they see what others cannot see and feel what others refuse to feel. The female brain doesn't just stop at empathy, it extends into action through connection. When a woman cares, she doesn't only feel, she reaches out, she supports, she invests herself. Connection for her is about building bridges, nurturing bonds, and creating spaces where people feel safe. Her brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which strengthens her drive to form and maintain relationships. This is why women tend to value communication and togetherness so highly. They are not just talking for the sake of talking, they are building trust, reinforcing ties, and deepening emotional intimacy. For them, relationships are not optional, they are a core part of their identity and survival. But empathy and connection also have a shadow side. Because a woman feels so deeply and connects so naturally, she often carries emotional weight that doesn't belong to her. She takes on the pain of others, worries about problems she didn't create, and sacrifices her own needs to maintain harmony. This can lead to exhaustion and burnout because she is not just managing her own emotions, she is holding the emotional worlds of everyone around her. People often fail to realize the cost of this gift. They take her empathy for granted, assuming she will always listen, always care, always understand, without asking what it does to her. Yet, despite this burden, women continue to show up, to connect, and to give because their brains are wired to do so. They cannot be indifferent, even when indifference would be easier. Empathy also shapes how women view conflict and resolution. While others may push to win an argument or dominate a situation, women often strive for reconciliation. They want peace not because they are afraid of confrontation, but because they understand that broken bonds cost more than temporary victories. To her, solving a problem is not just about fixing the surface issue, it's about restoring trust, protecting relationships, and ensuring emotional security for the future. She knows that human connection is fragile, and once it is broken, it takes far more effort to rebuild. This long term perspective, driven by empathy, makes her style of reasoning more holistic than many people recognize. When we talk about how women solve problems, we need to understand that their approach is not linear. It is layered, detailed, and often far more comprehensive than what we see on the surface. A woman rarely attacks a problem head on with brute force. Instead, she circles around it, looks at it from multiple perspectives, and weighs not only the immediate outcomes, but also the long term ripple effects. Her brain does not allow her to settle for quick fixes. She knows that short term solutions can create bigger issues later. And so she takes her time to process, to analyze, and to feel her way through the situation. While some may interpret this as overthinking, it is actually the brain working at a deeper level, refusing to be satisfied with superficial answers. The female brain is designed to link logic with memory, emotion, and intuition all at once, which means when she is solving a problem, she is not only solving what is visible, she is solving what lies beneath it. This is why women often get labeled as complicated in their reasoning. In reality, their thought process is complex, not complicated. There is a difference. Complicated implies confusion, while complex implies depth. When a woman considers a problem, she is not only looking at the cause, she is analyzing the context. She is thinking about how her choice will affect the people around her, how it will impact her relationships, how it may alter her emotional balance, and how it might influence the future. To someone who is wired for quick, surface level decisions, this might look unnecessary, but to her, it is essential. A problem is never isolated. It exists within a network of consequences, and her brain naturally takes that network into account. Her problem solving also shows up in how she balances logic with empathy. Many men approach problems by separating emotions from the equation, believing that emotions distort clarity. Women do the opposite. They integrate emotions because they understand that a solution without emotional intelligence is incomplete. For her, solving a conflict in a relationship is not just about addressing the argument, it is about healing the emotional wound underneath it. For her, managing stress at work is not just about efficiency, it is about creating an environment that supports balance and well being. The female brain has the ability to recognize that problems are not purely mechanical, they are human, emotional, and layered in experience. Her solutions, therefore, tend to be more sustainable because they do not just address the visible crack, they reinforce the foundation. Another striking aspect of women's problem solving is their ability to handle ambiguity. While many struggle with uncertainty, women have learned to live with it. This is partly biological and partly societal, as women throughout history have had to adapt to situations beyond their control. This adaptability has made them more patient with the unknown. When faced with a problem where the outcome is unclear, she doesn't freeze. She adjusts, she experiments, she trusts her intuition to guide her until the path becomes clear. This ability to function even in uncertainty is what makes women incredibly resilient problem solvers. They don't collapse under pressure, they bend, adapt, and transform challenges into growth. Details also matter profoundly in her reasoning. A woman's brain is highly active in the hippocampus, the region tied to memory, which means she recalls small details that others might overlook. These details often shape her solutions. She remembers what was said in a past conversation, the subtle signs of discontent, the promises made and forgotten, the emotions attached to events. When solving a problem, she brings these details into the equation, which allows her to create solutions that are not only practical, but also personalized and meaningful. Others may miss the bigger truth because they dismiss the smaller details, but she understands that the smallest overlooked piece can be the key to solving the entire puzzle. And then there is her collaborative nature. Women often approach problem solving by seeking input, valuing dialogue, and considering different perspectives. This does not mean they lack independence. It means they recognize the strength of collective wisdom. A woman does not need to dominate in order to solve. She builds consensus, she invites understanding, and she integrates diverse viewpoints into her final decision. This is why women often excel in leadership roles that require both strategy and human connection. Their solutions tend to create less resistance because they are inclusive, not authoritarian. She knows that a solution forced onto others will break, but a solution built with others will last. When we talk about the female brain, we cannot ignore the profound role biology and hormones play in shaping how women think, feel, and reason. Too often, society uses biology as an excuse to stereotype women as moody or unstable, reducing something incredibly complex into shallow labels. The truth is far deeper. Hormones are not simply chemical swings that disrupt her mind. They are forces that fine-tune memory, enhance empathy, sharpen intuition, and even influence resilience. To understand how women process the world, we have to understand that biology is not a limitation. It is a design that equips them to experience life in a more layered and interconnected way. Take estrogen, for example. This hormone is not only about reproduction, it directly impacts the brain's neural pathways related to memory, emotion, and learning. Estrogen enhances the communication between neurons, meaning that when a woman recalls an experience, she doesn't just remember the event, she remembers the context, the feelings, the environment. It also strengthens her ability to pick up emotional cues, which is why women often seem more in tune with the subtleties of social interaction. This hormone literally wires her brain to notice what others might dismiss. And during different stages of her life, as estrogen rises or falls, her emotional landscape shifts accordingly. But these shifts don't just bring challenges, they bring adaptability. Her brain learns to operate in different hormonal environments, giving her a resilience that many fail to recognize. Then there is oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Released during childbirth, breastfeeding, or even simple moments of intimacy, oxytocin strengthens her ability to connect, trust, and nurture. But beyond the cliches of motherhood, oxytocin influences how women reason about relationships in general. It pushes her toward cooperation, connection, and empathy. When she makes decisions in a family, in friendships, or in leadership, oxytocin quietly shapes her drive to preserve bonds rather than destroy them. This is why women are often the ones trying to hold relationships together, to restore peace in conflicts, or to care for others even when they themselves are drained. Their biology has equipped them to prioritize connection, not as a weakness, but as a survival strategy that ensures communities thrive. Progesterone, another key hormone, plays its role in calming the nervous system and stabilizing emotions. During its peak, women often feel more centered, more balanced, more grounded. But when levels drop, vulnerability to stress can increase. These cycles are not flaws, they are part of a rhythm that teaches women to live with change, to adapt to internal fluctuations while still carrying external responsibilities. This constant balancing act gives the female brain a flexibility that is underestimated. It's not that women are inconsistent, it's that they are living in harmony with a biological rhythm that requires them to adjust continuously. Their strength is not in ignoring these cycles, but in carrying on despite them. Even testosterone, though present in lower levels, influences women in significant ways. It affects confidence, competitiveness, and drive. In moments when testosterone spikes, women may feel more assertive, more willing to take risks, more focused on achievement. This interplay of multiple hormones means that the female brain is never static. It is dynamic, shifting, adapting, recalibrating, and through that dynamism, women develop a unique capacity to readjust to life's demands without losing themselves completely. What looks like unpredictability from the outside is, in fact, an extraordinary ability to reorient internally and continue functioning. Biology also explains why women often experience heightened emotional depth. Hormonal influences amplify the connection between the amygdala and the hippocampus, regions tied to memory and emotional processing. That's why a woman doesn't just remember something, she relives it. The event is encoded with sensory and emotional detail, making her memory stronger and her response more intense. While some call this overreacting, the reality is that her brain is designed to integrate memory and emotion so tightly that they cannot be separated. This gives her an advantage in understanding patterns, anticipating outcomes, and responding to emotional realities with precision. The challenge is that society often weaponizes these biological truths against women, labeling them as unstable or overly emotional, instead of recognizing the hidden intelligence within this design. Hormonal influence doesn't weaken the female brain, it diversifies it. It allows her to operate under multiple states of being, to access different strengths at different times, and to survive in a world that demands adaptability. Biology is not her cage, it is her compass, shaping her reasoning, sharpening her empathy, and fueling her resilience in ways that logic alone could never achieve. So, the next time someone tells you that women are too emotional, too complex, or too unpredictable, remember this: complexity is not chaos, it's power. The female brain is not a mystery to be feared, it's a design to be respected. Women don't just think, they feel, they don't just react, they reason, they don't just survive, they adapt. And if you truly want to understand a woman, don't reduce her, recognize her. Because when you finally learn how the female brain works, you stop underestimating her and you start realizing why she was never meant to be ordinary in the first place.